Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom. Nathan Drinkard, I'm Jay Wise. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. We're on Anchor, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, and everywhere in between. And if you're looking for us in the video format, you can find us at the A Drink of Wisdom YouTube channel. Drink, we are back from the Super Bowl and all its the included festivities. Great to be back with you.
Yeah, glad to be back. Super Bowl. Listen, dare I say, the NFL. This is probably the greatest stretch of postseason games I can remember. It's usually, you usually have one or two clunkers. Usually, those are the games that ESPN get. But this year, I think all the networks got good games, and then I think it got capped off by the ultimate game, which is the Super Bowl, which we're gonna get into. But with that said, you know, glad we're gonna jump into this. Glad we're gonna talk about it because I thought it was a fantastic game. But before we do that, hey man, how everything over there with you and yours?
It's good. I was at a trampoline park earlier, so my knees are a little bit burnt up. How about you, man?
My knees fine right now. Maybe maybe if I was out there, my knees would be chewed up too. Right now they're a little safe. I am starting to feel them. Made it up to year 35 and was in pretty healthy shape, but now I think they starting to wear a little bit. I can feel them a little bit. Not nothing too crazy, but I can feel them a little bit. But enough about my knees. I know that ain't what y'all hear about. The health
Yes.
of my knees. Y'all here for another day, another dollar. Y'all know we're gonna give the street what they need. We see what they don't. Absolutely say what they want. Set your dinner plates. I'm actually got lasagna going on, but set your dinner plates because it's time to eat. And last but not least, let's talk some sports, baby. What you got for us today, Jay?
Well, before we got the Super Bowl, of course, and we're also going to talk about who might make next year's Super Bowl. We'll dabble in the old halftime show, and we will revisit the Kyrie Irving vaccine situation. Adam Silver had some comments that he had today on it, but we will start in the Super Bowl. The Los Angeles Rams winning their second Super Bowl championship in franchise history. The Bengals denied in their third appearance. The Rams win the game 23-20. The Rams held a 13-10 halftime lead. Bengals bust out the gate in the second half. T. Higgins, 75-yard touchdown reception. Then you have a Matthew Stafford pick immediately thereafter. A field goal would give the Bengals a 20-13 lead, but the Bengals would not score again from there, and the Rams would eventually overcome that 7-point deficit, and their defense had a tremendous second half. Drink, what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, it lived up to the hype. It was funny, I want to start off with this. Like, I was seeing people on Twitter, social media saying, "Yo, this game is kind of boring." The word they was using actually was like it's low key boring. It's a Super Bowl, so it's like, can you call the Super Bowl boring? Yeah, you can, but then at the same time, you have to think of the logic of these are the two of the best teams in the NFL playing each other. Or if you don't like that logic, these are two of the most healthiest teams in the NFL playing each other for the ultimate title, right? Um, and I don't know exactly what people expect of a game of this magnitude, but we do have to understand these are the top two teams from each conference. Um, and I think the game plays like that for the most part. Now you do have a couple of clunkers in the Super Bowl where one team show up and the other one don't. But for the most part, this game was nip and tuck. I thought it lets you know that whoever get the ball last probably gonna win this game. And you know for all intents and purposes, that's what happened. Even though the Rams didn't have to do anything with their very last possession, they still won the game and they had the ball last. So with that said, um, a couple of things. And I'm a dabble into the game and then dabble with stuff outside the game. Matthew Stafford had a good game, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, QBR 60.8. But listen, he won the game, folks. Yes, Matthew Stafford is a Super Bowl champ. I got it. But I don't feel like this game made him a first ballot Hall of Famer. And the reason being is, if he would have won the MVP, I think that would have gave him more credence to that. but he didn't even win the MVP. Your wide receiver won the MVP. So, as happy as I am for Stafford winning this, I think the noise around, okay, now he's a Hall of Famer and all that. I mean, he might be a Hall of Famer, but first ballot, it's I don't know. I don't see Tom Brady. I don't see Aaron Rodgers. I don't see um, Peyton Manning. I don't see those guys that he was playing with, in what he's done. He's a good quarterback, and you know just as well as I do. Like when he signed with the Rams, the first thing I said, book these boys to the NFC Championship, if not the Super Bowl. So I'm not denying that he's a good talent, but I just don't know if his career is Hall of Fame worthy. So I just want to throw that out there too. Can I interest you to the Rams winning this game with let's see, a combined 17 carries for 28 yards on the ground for both running backs. That's Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. Now,
it was by the way, it was 43 total. You had a few Sonny Michel and a little Cooper Cup had a run, so there was a little bit extra. But yes, it was pretty bad.
It was pretty lackluster. And if you take Henderson's like passing, like his 3 catches for 43 yards, the running backs was pretty in there. Like it almost, and I told people this, it almost felt like Matthew Stafford. So think about this now. No running game, lost Odell Beckham after he was starting on a hot streak. It almost felt like Matthew Stafford might feel like he back in Detroit right now.
Oof.
I mean, think about this now. No running game, and you got one reliable receiver. Not to say the other guys caught balls, but like a guy that you can trust. You had one, Cooper Kupp. That's it. Van Jefferson, not to be disrespectful, but as you seen at the end of that game, Matthew Stafford ain't looking for Van Jefferson. All right? This is going to ahead and call it what it is. So, for all the people that's like, Van Jefferson was out there, he started, yeah, okay. But when the rubber met the road, did Matthew Stafford actually trust Van Jefferson? No. It was all Cooper Kupp. Literally, the dude got away with throwing. All right, I'll get to that in a minute. So, it almost felt like it had a Detroit feel to it, right? So, I also thought that with that said, it was advantage kind of Matthew Stafford because this is what he used to doing. So, if the Bengals would have been in that same situation, had they lost, let's say, T. Higgins and Joe Mixon, I mean, he performed on the ground. So let's say the Bengals would have lost T. Higgins and then Joe Mixon would have been in there. And Samaje Perine would have been in there. I don't think the Bengals come like close to winning. I think they score a lot less. But the fact that Matthew Stafford has been through this enough, I think he was like, well, Detroit with better weather. Let's roll. Let's do it. I can pull this out. I thought that last Rams offensive drive was incredible. The way you can almost see Sean McVay on the sideline sweating bullets. Like, yo, I gotta figure this out. Oh, well, because I love Sean McVay, but if the Rams would have lost this Super Bowl, I think he would have been in question a little bit. Not to say he would have been on the hot seat, but we would have had some questions like, can Sean McVay win the big one? But we don't have that because he did win. But you see him over there kind of sweating it. And I almost felt like Sean McVay got in their headset and said, listen, Matt, I don't give a rip what they doing with Cooper Kupp. You figure out a way to throw it to Cooper Kupp no matter what's going on. We seen, Matthew Stafford throw the no look, and I don't think he get enough credit for that. Because when Patrick Mahomes do it, we got to stop. Everything stopped. Best thing is sliced bread. Oh my God, never seen anything like it. Matthew Stafford did it in the Super Bowl, and I don't think he get enough credence. I want to throw that out there too. But it was a nice no-look pass. Cooper Kupp catch it. It was almost we got into a area where when it came to Cooper Kupp, either he was going to catch the ball or he was going to get a flag. So with that said, Matthew Stafford pretty much knew my wide receiver is better than your DBs, and boy was they better than Eli Apple and company. But he trusts his receiver, and his receiver rewarded him. I mean, look, hey man, that hit Cooper Kupp took after he caught that touchdown. I said, yo, if the Rams have to like get the ball again and do something with it, I'm not sure Cooper Kupp coming back out there on the field. The way he got smoked on that hit, but he got up. To his credit, he got up. He walked off on his own too. He was good. He was on the bench sitting down. Never went into the medical tent. Never went to the locker room. So, you know, that was a good sign. Thank God he didn't have to worry about actually doing anything else on offense after that. But man, he took a hit. But you know, I'll be remiss if I don't talk about, you know, Odell Beckham. I know Odell Beckham, 2 catches, 52 yards. That's all he did up to that point before he, you know, tore his ACL on that turf, which that's something that need to be talked about. Like, is this turf really worth, like, ACLs getting left out there on the field? That's another story for another day. But Odell Beckham really showed, like, this was the most, in my opinion, the most selfless Odell Beckham I had seen in his career. Like, for the first time I could say in his career, I really felt like he was a team guy. I really, like, when I was looking at him out there, he was playing his role. Even when he got hurt, he was on the sideline. He was upset. You know, I can understand that. But he was motivating. He was being a team player. I can't say I really seen that. I didn't see that a lot in New York. I damn sure didn't see it in Cleveland. So to see him out there being a team guy, I thought was incredible. To see him out there performing and giving his career second life, because I'm pretty sure he'll probably get signed to something, you know, pretty good this offseason if he decides to keep playing football. To see that, I thought was incredible. I was happy for him. He, you know, I ain't even gonna go. I was about to make a Antonio Brown reference, but I ain't gonna do that. But I was excited to see that. Then on the other side of the ball, Aaron Donald, man, how could you not be happy for that man? Like, the emotion he showed after he won the game, you know, he literally won the game, a game-winning sack. And he's celebrating. He's talking about the ring. You know what time the ring. I was really happy for him, man. Quiet guy. He don't make no fuss. He don't do off the field, you know, incidents. He don't do none of that, man. He just come, play, became one of the best defensive tackles in NFL history. Just a menace. And for him to make the game-winning like play like that, oh man, I thought he really deserved it. Hey, listen, the rest of the defense did their job too. I mean, it's sacks around for everybody. It's enough sacks for everybody here, right? But he made the key play, and on top of that, I seen like some film or something like Inside the NFL or something where he pretty much told Sean McVay, he said, "Listen, we're gonna bring this home. All right, boys, you ready? Hey, Ramsey, you ready to bring this home? Hey, Floyd, you ready to bring this home? Vaughn, you ready?" And they went out there and they brought it home. So I was really happy about that. Now, one person that didn't bring it home that I don't want to, like, I'm tired of hearing the hype about. He did his job, but hey, Jalen Ramsey, man, we're gonna have to go revisit this top corner in the game mess, cause he get beat a lot. I mean, it was this one play. I think it happened in the third quarter. Joe Burrow like flips the ball over Jalen Ramsey to Jamar Chase, and it was like I'm like, Ramsey, what was? It's jumping the route, then it's just like not even knowing where the route is at, and that's what I felt. I'm like, what was that? Like when you watch Trayvon Diggs of the Dallas Cowboys, he does a lot of route jumping. But he's by the ball, so you're like, okay, he jumped the route, he missed, makes sense. Jalen Ramsey, he was like 2 miles away from Jamar Chase, and then gonna turn around and be looking like, what happened? You're right, Jalen. What happened? Like, what are you doing? How about you play some defense and actually stop running away from the contact? But whatever, I digress. So. And then let me flip the switch to the Bengals so I don't take up all the time. Joe Burrow, you know, 263 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He had a QBR 39.7. Wow. Um, with that said, man, this young fella gonna be back, man. I think we're gonna see him again. I know we say this every year when a young team loses the Super Bowl. They'll be back next year. Um, but with his confidence and the way they came out of nowhere this year, you have to think they'll get better. They'll get that offensive line better for Joe Burrow. And listen, they only lost by 3. It wasn't like they went and got kicked down the street like a tin can. They played. They were competitive. That defense, which I know myself, I talked about the Bengals' rush defense. I mean, it showed up in the Super Bowl. It showed up. I mean, for what it's worth, it showed up. Joe Mixon, he's still young. So I look at all these young pieces, and the oldest piece that they had out there was probably Uzama, but I don't. I give him his kudos because he played well, but I think Tyler Boyd was like the oldest skill position guy that I'm really looking at when I'm looking at the wide receivers, the running back. At the right age of 26, and so you got all these other guys that's way younger. Your star receiver was a rookie. Joe Burrow only in his 3rd year. I want to say Joe Mixon probably in his 4th year. So these guys being so young, just like we said about Kansas City the year before, like they'll be back. I think they'll be back. They got to find a way to protect Joe Burrow, man. They got to find a way to protect Joe Burrow. But I think the hat really should go off to the Bengals defense. I thought those linebackers was magnificent against the Rams offensive line. It seemed like the Rams, they were just either they was blowing assignments or they just don't know how to block blitzing linebackers or linebackers that's coming in, because those two inside linebackers was just like one being Vaughn, and I forgot the other guy, but they was Matthew Stafford was back there earning his money. And I thought the defense played better than I gave them credit for. I just didn't think they was going to be able to stop the Rams. But I will say it was easier once Odell Beckham was out of the game. But I want to give a shout out to the Bengals defense because I thought they played well. And one last thing I want to say before I turn it over to you, Jay, is Vernon Hargrave should be on the unemployment line right about now.
Oh God!
How in the hell are you're a dude? Did not participate, but I forgot the actual name for it.
He was an inactive.
Okay, so you're not playing, but you're at the game, and you're not playing because you most likely you're hurt, or you're not hurt, but you're not good enough to be on the field. Whatever the case might be, and you think it's all right to go in a bucket hat and some shorts and a t-shirt and run out there and celebrate with the rest. That was by far some piss poor decision making if I ever seen it in my life. I don't understand. Like, I get it. You're excited for your teammate, but you're not even in uniform, bro. You're not in uniform. So stay on the sideline until you come, and then like most people do when they're not playing the game, they're on the sideline. And you thought it was all right to go out there in the middle of the celebration. Not you was on the sideline with like 1 foot in the field and the other feet on the sideline, and you kind of out there, but you're not. You was in the middle of the celebration. Yeah, baby, yeah. One of the dumbest penalties I ever seen in the history of the NFL. That some dude just come. I don't know. But like I texted in the group text, that dude need to be fired before the sun rise. I ain't heard no news about it yet, so he might have survived. But I thought that was an idiotic move. That was one of my takeaways for sure from the game, is how stupid that was. Like, I just didn't understand. That was crazy. But with all that said, man, like I said, not to draw it out any longer, good game. I think the NFL went almost 7 for 7 pretty much. And they put on a very good product. I seen the numbers look a lot better this year than they looked in the last past five years, I want to say. So kudos to the NFL, great product. Shout out to the Rams. Now we get to see what the guys that finally got a ring, the the Matthew Staffords, the Odell Beckhams, the Aaron Donalds of the world. Von Miller already had a ring, so and Jalen Ramsey. Now we get to see how this propels them for the rest of their career if they decide to hang it up or stick around with their rings.
Yeah, I think yeah, the upfront point about the NFL having a great postseason. Yeah, well taken. It seems like ever since the wild card game, or the wild card round, you've had everything's been, close, competitive, all the way down to the wire, seemingly. So this one, I think the point of this one, maybe not. Some people are like, oh, this is boring. Well, I guess when you watch, the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, those type matchups, you get a little spoiled. Every game's not going to be like that. I know, the whole defense wins championships thing is probably maybe losing some of its luster as the game continues to be made more and more offense friendly. But what I'm looking at, and I think I put it in that chat. I was like, or maybe I didn't. I put it somewhere. There was a point in that game where you just felt like, yo, Rams defense gonna have to win this game, because the Rams offense after Odell Beckham left the game looked ill-equipped to do much of anything when you combine the fact that no Odell Beckham, no Tyler Higbee, no Robert Woods. Don't forget that another key loss we don't get into
And
because they buffered it with Odell.
and I want to say the backup tight end was hurt or something was going on with him as well.
Yeah, Kendall Blanton, who I think he had a really nice NFC Championship game, did not play, so you're down to your third string tight end. You didn't run the ball at all. I mean, 23 carries, 43 yards. I mean, it was atrocious. And still, so the Rams defense, I think they took over the game in the second half after giving up that one play touchdown. And then, they needed one drive. They needed one drive, and Stafford got them that drive. And you talk about Matthew Stafford, and I guess I'm just missing. I'm, as usual, not paying attention to any of the so-called talking heads. But I guess that's one of the big, debates now. Like, we're talking about Stafford, his career, and what it means. And I do agree if that's what we're talking about. No, I don't see Hall of Fame at all right now. But I think some of it has to do with, like, I mean, you were stuck in Detroit for a long time to where you had no chance. And I mean, I guess where do you rank him among quarterbacks today? I mean, I think he's certainly top 10. You could do a whole lot worse than Matthew Stafford, but yeah, I wouldn't put him, amongst the elites of the elites right now. He's a above average, he's maybe like a B plus NFL starting quarterback. And I think in this game, it's definitely a two-side argument. I don't think it was his best game. Had a couple turnovers. I think the one interception, he probably forced it down there where Hargraves thought it was time to come out and celebrate. I think that one was a little bit of a force. The other one, I think it was a product of, like, you out here throwing to who, Ben Skowronek or whatever. I mean, these dudes obviously ain't been, they ain't doesn't look. It looked like a situation where these guys just ain't had the reps together. So I'm not going to fault him too much for that one. But you also look at, okay, the guy threw 2 picks, but then you also consider the weapons he did not have, and then no running game at all. And he still, when he needed it most, he came up with a drive. And Sean McVay deserves credit for that as well, for jump-starting that drive with that big 4th and 1 call on your own 30-yard line. 10 years ago with a different coach, Jeff Fisher's probably punting that. He's probably punting it. And I don't think, wouldn't have been the worst decision, because the Rams defense had just, like, I think they had forced like 3 straight 3 and out. So it wouldn't have been the worst decision. But 5 minutes ago, 4th and 1, your own 30, we can't get 1 yard. What are we doing here? And then the one run that they needed most, they went to Kupp on a jet sweep to the outside. He makes one move, gets the first down, kick started from there. And then, and then I think some people had a little bit of problem with the way that drive ended, because the refs really, you didn't see much, the referee didn't get introduced to the game till probably the third quarter.
Right. They didn't call a
You know,
whole
so
lot.
the refs, and I thought, you know, I thought it was I think they missed some calls. I think the touchdown that T. Higgins had, the 75-yarder, he clearly had a hold of Jalen Ramsey's face mask. That probably should have been called.
Right.
So I think there's something they missed it. But the argument here of like let them play. If you're gonna let them play, I think you got to let them play throughout. So as usual, officiating's always somebody's always gonna be crying about some call. I think you gotta, if you're gonna play it somewhat loose, you're better off playing it loose the entire game. I
Right.
think that, you know, you see it in basketball games a lot, especially, you know, very late. Officials really try to stay away from blowing the whistle late because they don't want to be a deciding factor. I thought, you know, you had the third down penalty. I think they called it against Logan Wilson, I believe. I thought they missed a penalty on second down against one of their linebackers when Henderson was running a little angle route. And I thought when he pivoted and tried to cut to the middle of the field, I thought he got held. Obviously, they missed that one. And I thought it was a clear makeup call on third down. And then, of course, a couple plays later, Eli Apple, he's just mandatory that he gets in there and does something foolish. So you had that going on. I tell you, you know, you talk about, Jalen Ramsey, and I don't think it was his best game, but if you like get Eli Apple is just like not liked in social media. Like he gets blasted constantly. And I think it's because he talks too much. But man, anyway. But look,
my only thing with Eli Apple is when you see Eli Apple get roasted, you like, okay, so look about right. When you see Jalen Ramsey, for
yeah,
everything you hear about Jalen Ramsey, it's
yes,
like, come on, man, you supposed to be the top dog. Like
yeah.
I'm not saying the top dog right now. Eli Apple, yeah, that's his future.
But I really thought, one thing about I think the key points in the game for me was when Odell going down. I thought that really changed the game. The Rams had a lot more difficulty moving the ball, and I think in the way the second half opened up, I thought the Bengals had a real opportunity to kind of almost go for the jugular because the Rams were having so much difficulty. Then you have T. Higgins come out and boom, 75-yard touchdown, and then Stafford boom, throws an interception. First two plays from scrimmage, that's what you have. And then you have the Bengals set up on the Rams 31, and they eventually go nowhere. Aaron Donald had his first sack on that drive to kill that possession. And I thought that right there was the beginning of the Rams defense saying, we're done. We're not giving you anything else. They didn't. You had the Bengals after that. They win 3 straight 3-and-outs. They had 2 more possessions after that. Couldn't do a whole lot with them. And then they just continue. And it felt like, man, is this game going to end at 2016? Because the Rams at one point they had 3 consecutive 3-and-outs as well. So neither team was able to get a lot going. In the second half, that's where the game slowed down. Defenses took over. That may be where some people are saying it wasn't that exciting. Well, I mean, when you have Aaron Donald getting after the quarterback, when you got Von Miller and Leonard Floyd and all these guys just doing a great job, and I thought one guy who was great as well was Ashawn Robinson. I thought the broadcast crew did a really nice job breaking down when he was in the game. The Bengals really had a tough time running the ball, and as for the Bengals, I really I think their defense. I've been critical of their defense. I think they overperformed really every game in the postseason. Their run defense was definitely great in this game, much like it was against the Tennessee Titans for the most part. I think their defense did probably and was good enough to win. They weren't able to come up with that drive, but I think you probably put this more on the offense because when you had them down 7 points and the Rams clearly just tripping all over themselves, couldn't do anything. All it would take was one more score, most likely. And at nothing else, if they had 3 more points on the board, you'd have an overtime period, and if you could have got one more touchdown, you'd have won the game. But they never could get that that winning drive when they had the momentum. Eventually, the Rams able to come down and get that 15-play drive to take the lead. And I really thought on the last possession, not to nitpick on coaching, but I'm looking at Zach Taylor and I'm thinking, why is P. Ryan in the game the last 2 plays? I mean, that's winning time, and you got a workhorse in Joe Mixon. He's real good running back, can do it all, and he's nowhere to be found. So if I'm nitpicking on coaching, I mean, I'm looking at Zach Taylor right now. Like that would be my biggest gripe with him. What was the reason Joe Mixon was not in the game? And then some people, and then I think talk about Aaron Donald, having that pressure that blew up that fourth down. And I didn't see it live, but I was seeing some talk after the fact, like, P. Ryan, could you at least look like you give an effort? I mean, fourth down for all the marbles to extend the drive, 1 yard. And P. Ryan just, I let the ball hit my shoelace. I tried. I don't know, man. I don't know. So yeah, Hargraves definitely should hit the unemployment line because that was one of the biggest dope moves you can make. And then I don't know, man. I mean, P. Ryan might want to, he might want to follow him out the door with that type of effort in the Super Bowl. If you're not gonna put forth an effort in that moment, I don't know what the point is. So I think but for guys like, I thought Cooper Kupp, I thought was deserving of the MVP award. I think Aaron Donald, if they'd have picked Aaron Donald, I wouldn't have been mad at that. I thought his performance was worthy of consideration. But yeah, I did think it was between those two guys. But even so, like in terms of Matthew Stafford again, like I mean, if his career ended today, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. But look, it validates what the Rams did in the offseason, trading for Matthew Stafford, going for the gusto. They continued it all the way through with Odell, with Von Miller, and they were rewarded for it. It was a well-deserved victory.
Hey, did you hear about Les Snead, like the GM? Yeah, he like GM, right? He wore a shirt that said "F them draft picks," cause they gave up like every draft pick to get all these
I didn't
players.
see
So
that.
yeah,
I
he
didn't
wore
see
a
that.
shirt to the parade today that said "F them draft picks."